Hey, buddy.
Raw.
Hey, man, that's a sweet heavy metal happy hour t-shirt. Where'd you pick that up?
Thanks, dude. I got it at the Toxic Radio shop.
Toxic Radio has a shop?
Yeah, dude. It's in the app or online at toxicradio.net.
That is sweet.
Yeah, and I also got a rockin' Toxic Radio hoodie and a Red Band Underground shirt. Dude, I'm gonna look so rockin' at the party tomorrow.
Well, I think you look pretty now.
Oh, wait, what?
The Toxic Radio shop is a place to get all your Toxic Radio gear. Shirts, hoodies, stickers. Find it at toxicradio.net or on the app. Don't buy it safe. Buy it toxic. Hey, where you going, man? Planning your Saturday night can be a bit of a bitch.
Saturday night is the loneliest night in the week.
Well, it doesn't have to be. Load up Toxic Radio every Saturday night for the heavy metal happy hour. With the one and only Fishman.
I know that, dude.
There will be interviews, ticket giveaways, a little bit of banter with Toxic Mike, and of course great metal from the 80s all the way through today. Starts at 7 p.m., runs until Fish says it's over.
Everyone get out!
Catch it only on Toxic Radio. Don't play it safe. Play it toxic. Once every generation, there comes an event that alters how we perceive our world. That changes our expectations of what is possible. This is not really one of those events. But hey, Toxic Radio has a brand new studio, and that fucking rocks. So join us in celebrating our excellent new home. Toxic Radio. Awesomer than ever before. Wow, that is so a word.
Welcome to episode 30 of Wire to Wire Sports Podcast. We made it 30 episodes strong. To my right, I have the man, the myth, the legend, still putting his headphones on. He's just that cool. Scholastic Shally, Uncle Shally.
Surprised nobody killed anybody yet. This is fun.
To my left, I have Kent State's own, Cleveland's own, and the recycled jersey for the second time of the Vancouver Grizzlies, College, Cottrell.
Did you wear that once already?
He did. Listen, when you get the recycle, when you start getting it more than once, got to call it out. We got an awesome show for you today. We're going to go over the draft. We're going to recap everything that happened with the NFL draft, who we think had the best draft, the worst draft. We're going to talk about a little Eagles draft, a little Browns draft. Got some Cleveland fans in there, and we got Cottrell here with his A-plus draft, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Solid draft. Then after that, we're going to get into the Aaron Rodgers comments. Got to talk about that. It's the biggest news right now in sports. The MVP of the league wants out. MVP of the league wants out.
B plus.
Oh, no. A for sure.
Yeah. They're already debating it.
Stop it.
We're going to get into our Elite 8 of our fictional coaches sports bracket, and we'll talk a little MLB. We got a ton of MLB for this show. And then LeBron's comments. We want to touch on that a little bit. But let's get started on our 30th episode talking about the NFL draft. So I want to start with who had the best draft. Who had the best draft of everybody? And I'm going to start with Homer Simpson. Give me your best overall draft in, and you can give me two if you think it's like tied. That's fine. Go ahead.
So I had a few that I thought were the best ones. I'm not going to go in depth with the ones that I thought were the best that didn't quite make the cut, but I will say, I think Cleveland had a really good draft. I think Kansas City had a really good draft. Especially with Kansas City. I know they didn't have a first-round pick. They turned that first-round pick to Orlando Brown. That's going to really help that offensive line and fix those issues that they had last season. But my best draft goes to the Baltimore Ravens. That's a team that probably isn't the most common when it comes to best drafts, probably of this year, just because so many people had great drafts. But I really love what they did. They got Rashad Bateman to be, a legit weapon for Lamar Jackson. They got Jason Owa to be on that defensive line. somebody that we talked about last week with Jason Owa going there, them getting the edge rusher. They got Ben Cleveland and a guy to help out Lamar Jackson, block for him a little bit. And then they got one of the steals of the draft in Tylan Wallace, guy that I mentioned, 2 or 3 times on previous shows, and I think that's a great fit for him. Another guy that's going to help Lamar out. And then they added Shaun Wade in the 5th round. I thought that was great value for them. We talked about Shaun Wade. He cost himself a lot of money, but I think the Baltimore Ravens will be able to utilize him in a position where he can be successful, and he's not going to go in and be their number 1 or number 2 guy. So I think that's a good fit for him.
So that's a really good pick. I didn't think you were going to go there with that one.
Division rival, too.
Yeah, he definitely – listen, mad respect. Didn't go Homer. He went Visitor Simpson. Shally, give me yours, brother.
I stuck with the Chargers. There was a couple, and I know we talked about doing honorable mention. I'm sticking with the Chargers. They didn't have to move up or down. They plugged every one of their holes that they had, and concerns going into the draft. Rashawn Slater fell to them, left tackle. Some people, believe it or not, had him rated higher than Penei Sewell.
They were listening to Gene.
Yeah,
that was Gene's pick.
Yeah.
I thought it was easy, too. Like, I really thought that the Rashawn Slater pick was easy.
You have your franchise quarterback that you think is going to be there for at least the next 10 years. You get a stud left tackle. Like I said, some people had him rated higher than Penei Sewell. So, yeah, they filled that need. And then they got Asante Samuel Jr., who I know a lot of Eagles fans were hoping we took him in the 2nd or 3rd round. Cornerback was a big need for them. They're rebuilding that defense a little bit on the back end. They took him, and then the rest of kind of like a Chelsea with Baltimore. They got some really good value picks later on in the draft. Josh Palmer from Tennessee. He's actually an underrated wide receiver. He played with 4 different quarterbacks in 2 years with Tennessee, with all the inconsistency in that program. He could be a steal. He's quick. He's got a very good NFL frame for a wide receiver. Could be a steal. 3rd round, not a risky pick in my opinion. And then maybe a huge steal in the 6th round. They take Larry Roundtree from Missouri. I think he's 2nd or 3rd all time in rushing yards for the school. Had 1,700 rushing yards his senior year. More of like a bruising back type guy. Fit in probably really nice behind Ekeler there. I just think they had a great draft. I think a great draft. They didn't have to move. They didn't lose anything. So for me, it's the Chargers.
So I agree with both you guys. You guys have great picks. The Ravens were definitely on my short list. The Chargers were definitely on my short list. I love what they did. The Dolphins were on my list, but I had to narrow it down to 2. And like, if you would have told me the top 6, like I would have went, Browns. I would have went Ravens. I would have went Chargers. Like I think they had awesome drafts. Dolphins. The reason I went with this one number 1 is because there's very, very few times when you can say the best quarterback that's ever played for the history of a franchise hasn't played a game yet. And in Chicago, that might be the answer. Chicago's never had a quarterback, ever, throughout the entire history of the franchise. And they move up and they get their guy, they get Justin Fields. And then, you know what? As crazy as this sounds, Ryan Davis has a good draft. He gets a left tackle to protect him, going with Tevin Jenkins from Oklahoma State. Like, I love what they did, and it's insane for that.
That pick was almost more impressive than Justin. Like, getting up Justin to get him, but then to double down with that and get Tevin later when he's sitting there, that was, I mean, I don't know if anybody had a better first 2 picks in Chicago.
And I love that. And they also got a guy late, another tackle to play the other side, and Larry Barham from Missouri. And I just think that the Bears had a really good draft, specifically the quarterback position. Getting Justin Fields, you can instantly say that this guy is the best quarterback the franchise has ever seen. He hasn't played down for them yet. You also had a hello, Cottrell, from Letitia. She wanted to say hello to you.
That's my mom.
Oh, see? Mom, listen, thank you so much for listening, Mrs. Coleman. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Mama
Your
Homer.
son is amazing. We love him. My second draft, and I hate doing this because I really think they did, like this was like my 1A. I don't like Zach Wilson, but the Jets absolutely knocked it out the ballpark. So if I'm wrong about Zach Wilson, let's just say I'm wrong. Let's just say Zach Wilson goes in the NFL and kills it. They got Vera Tucker. They got Elijah Moore. They got Michael Carter. Like, these are all impact
Their
players.
First 4 picks were amazing.
They got 2 Michael Carters.
Yeah. If their first 4 picks pan out 2 years from now, they have the best draft and it's probably not close. It's funny you keep saying the quarterbacks. That is one of the reasons I steered away from Jacksonville, Chicago, and the Jets. Jets are one of my honorable mention teams, so is Chicago. They were a little bit further down the list. I stayed away from them because of, I don't want to say the bust potential, but you have no idea what we're getting out of the quarterbacks yet.
It's fair.
We all think we know what they are, but that is one of the reasons I left all them off the list. I went with teams that took more traditional, I want to say safer picks.
That's absolutely fair, and I understand that. But, like, I've been on Justin Fields since before the college football season. I'm a big fan. It's kind of weird for me being a guy that roots for Penn State, but to be that into Ohio State quarterback. And by the way, everybody that knows me, that's talked to me for years, I hated Dwayne Haskins. I've never liked an Ohio State quarterback. Ever. Never liked an Ohio State quarterback. Love Justin Fields. I watched him play against Clemson, not this past year, but 2 years ago, and I seen the poise. Even though he lost the game, I could just see how special the kid was. I've been on him all year, and I consistently stay on him.
I feel like the other team that needs some love too is the Patriots. I mean, for Bill, we said it during our mock show. Bill stays there and he gets his quarterback. We said it was going to be Zach Wilson, but Mac Jones, for him to be just sitting there, Bill doesn't have to move. He gets him, and then he doubles down in the second round, and you get a first-round talent in Christian Barmore. I just think Bill Belichick he's shown time and time again that, although he doesn't have Tom, he's going to put his team in the best situation to try and win games towards the future.
I'm telling you, everybody is still just under the impression the Bills are going to win that division next year, and I'm not ready to say that. With the people they've added through free agency, their draft, and who they have coming back, everybody forgets they had 3 or 4 starters on the defensive side last year that opted out, that did not play.
Right.
That division, and now you factor in Miami, and the Jets are going to be improved. The Jets aren't going to be a walkover. That is going to be a brutal division next year.
I completely agree with you.
It's going to be very fun to watch that division next year.
And I don't know who's crowning the Buffalo Bills already just because they had a great run. Don't crown them. They're not. Listen, they played a third place schedule. They're
a really good team though.
They are a good team. They don't have a run game yet.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget either that the Dolphins were 1 or 2 games down the stretch from winning that division anyway. So
to
it's
a
not
stunk all year.
Exactly.
And the Jets were a walkthrough. That's 2 wins.
Yeah, but everybody played the Jets twice, so I mean that doesn't matter.
Everybody didn't beat the Jets.
And you're also a Hail Mary away from them winning their last 10 games of the regular season too.
That's also true.
It's fair. It's getting the worst draft. Shall you start with this one?
I mean, it's Oakland for me, or Las Vegas. Sorry. People probably wish they went back to Oakland after this draft. I mean, the guy you're really high on, Mooring from TCU. I mean, he's their one legit pick that I get that makes sense. I mean, obviously they're secondary, and I mean the defensive side of the ball in general is like kind of okay. They have decent players here and there. I just don't get the rest of it. I don't know what he was thinking. Gruden gets in these spells where he gets like fixated on guys and then kind of sees what he wants to see.
It's Gruden or Mayock?
It's more surprising to me because they're both,
big like football guys.
They're
like
both
football
great
minds, like
football
X&Os
minds. Yeah, like when Mayock went out there, like that was 2 years ago. I was praying we got rid of Howie then because I wanted Mayock. Like I think Mayock's a great GM. He's a great football mind. We all know what Gruden is. For them to have that kind of draft and fall on their face like that is just shocking to me. Either that or they picked 4 or 5 kids
that we don't know,
that they see things that nobody else saw, and they're going to be superstars, and then I'll look like a big idiot, and it's fine.
Good try. Give me yours. I want to comment on Bills, but I'll do it all as a wrap.
For me, I will comment on Bills. I'm with you on. I don't think the Raiders had a great draft. I'm a little bit higher on Leatherwood than a lot of other people are, and I think that will turn out to be a good pick for them. And I also think that the Trevon Merrick pick will be a good pick for them. So that's why they're not quite at the bottom for me. But for me, I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Rams with the worst draft. They didn't have a first-round pick, and then their first pick ended up being Tutu Atwell from Louisville, and he's 145 pounds soaking wet. And my whole thing with him is I get that he's this speedy receiver, but even in this year when they had all these fast 40 times come out, he went 4.42 unofficially. So you're going to be 145 pounds and you're not the blazer we thought you were. I don't think that can be your first pick off the board, especially when you already have 2 good receivers on your team, and you lost your best safety and you lost your second best corner to free agency. So for me, I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Rams.
I don't think that's a bad pick at all.
No.
There are a lot of people that are split on Tutu, though. I think they're going to try to mold him into the Deshaun role that they're going to have for him because, I mean, Deshaun's only going to be there for 1 year. I look at teams like that, too. It's hard to really criticize what they do when they don't have a first-round draft pick. And obviously they got rid of it in the Ramsey trade. But they kind of fell in the same category as Seattle and, Houston for me. When you're only drafting 3 or 4 guys, it's really hard to really come down on somebody.
No, they drafted like 8 or 9 guys, though. And I wasn't thoroughly
I'm saying
impressed
no
with
first-round pick.
Gotcha.
That's the only reason I put him in the same category.
Okay, so I went with 2 different teams, and they're both like incomplete drafts, which is why I went with them. But I just don't like what they did. So Seattle and the Texans were both my picks. Seattle, they needed linemen, and they went and drafted a wide receiver with their first pick. Like Russell Wilson's in the media screaming, "I want out of here if you guys don't get me an offensive line." And they draft him another wide receiver. Like, how much do you not get? Like, what are you not getting? And then Houston's in a terrible organization. And then they go out and reach and get to get Davis Mills. Like they draft him like 3 rounds probably before he was gonna go. Both those organizations just don't see the writing on the wall. And I think Seattle lucked into the fact that they spotted Russell Wilson's talent, but like they got Russell Wilson in the 3rd round after they just signed a huge contract for Matt Flynn. And that man's carried that franchise for the last 10 years.
See, I don't think you can say that about Seattle only because they notoriously draft well. Like you look at the Legion and Boone and all, like they were all draft. They drafted DK Metcalf
10 years ago. Without that
right, but I'm
pick.
saying, so I mean, you're talking about this year. I mean, you could say that, but I mean, I don't think you can put them in the same category as Houston. I mean, and they're a well-run organization, and from everything that's come out publicly, Pete and Russell and all them.
On the flip side of that, though, you can also say Houston, in a sense, drafts well. I mean, they got Nuke, they got Deshaun Watson, they got J.J. Watt, they had Clowney. Like they draft players that are well. I'm with
Dante thinks that Davis Mills will be good. Mark his words.
I'm with the idea that these teams are poorly run organizations. Especially the Texans, not more so Seattle, but definitely the Texans. But I don't think that, just drafting a couple guys that are pretty good just clears your palette
but they
of
didn't
the bad
address any
picks.
needs. Like the Texans didn't even address their line.
I'm with you.
Nothing.
The Texans are in a lot of trouble if Watson cannot play this year. I mean, I don't know.
They're
And
in a
if
lot
he
of trouble if he can
4-12,
play.
4-13?
No,
if he can.
My point is, again, I think they're in a different boat than Seattle. I don't think Houston's drafted terribly. They're ruined by a lot of like free agent contracts they've signed and like picks and stuff that Bill O'Brien traded. Like Bill O'Brien traded like 3 1s for Larry Tunstall.
Yeah.
Like they don't
and didn't get any ones for Nuke.
Yeah,
like what are you doing?
So it's stuff like that.
But they got David Johnson.
He had a good year last year.
He didn't have a
not
bad
for
year.
Nuke.
So you have
not for Nuke.
So you have that is what's put them in a really bad spot. And now you have the guy you thought was your franchise quarterback, and who knows? I mean, we have no idea what's going to happen with that. So, and then if he gets cleared, I don't know if they're going to trade him, if they're going to keep him. I don't know what they're going to do. That team's just a mess. If I was drafted to that team, I would not be happy right now.
No, not at all.
I was pissed Nico went there.
Let's break down our 2 teams.
All right.
We'll start with the Eagles or Browns.
Start with the Browns.
Can't control
with the Eagles.
Nah, we'll start with the Browns.
You're outvoted.
He said it first. Plus, I want to kind of get the home stretch. You got to break your team down first, bro. They had a great draft.
He
by
said
the way.
he said A plus already.
I think I think they for sure had an A draft, maybe not A plus. Just because I like Greg Newsome. I'm not like completely over the hill about him. So I probably would go A. I think he comes in and he's our starter. The one thing that I will say about Greg Newsome, and it kind of worries me a little bit, Denzel Ward is coming up. They just picked up his 5th-year option. He's coming up on his contract year. If Greg Newsome goes out there and he's super talented, my one worry is that they let Denzel walk in free agency because they don't want to pay him, and Greg Newsome is like primed to be his replacement. I'm thinking too far down the road here, but I'm always thinking worst case scenario, and that was like the one thing that triggered in my mind when I saw Newsome.
Hey, when you're a Browns fan for this long, you got to think worst case scenario. I get it.
The Jeremiah Owusu pick, absolutely loved it. For him to still be there in the second round for us was like match made in heaven, I feel like. I understand he has some injury concerns with that, but he hasn't had any issues with it, and if they're comfortable enough to pick him, I'm more than happy to welcome him to Cleveland. Yep. And then our third round pick, Anthony Schwartz, by far probably the fastest receiver in college football this year. Went 4.3 or 4.29 in his pro day, and you can see on his tape, like he's a legit, 4.2 all day long kind of guy. So I'm really happy with the Browns draft, and I even like their undrafted free agent pickup, Marvin Wilson from Florida State, the guy that we mentioned on the show a couple weeks back, and they got him on an undrafted deal. So Browns had a job well done.
I think the Browns did really well.
They did.
I mean, what am I going to say bad?
No, I mean, they were definitely top 10. They were in conversations, when I was looking at it to, be possible best draft. They were in the same categories, Baltimore and New York and all them. They had a great day.
I'm guessing the reason Jock fell is because of heart problems. Like he had a heart
that was the reason.
heartbeat.
Yeah. They said it. Yeah, they said during his physical. I mean, again, that is one of those things. We brought it up briefly 2 weeks ago when we first started talking about this. Stuff happens.
Audio just dropped some real talk. Throw that up there. If Denzel can't stay healthy this season, he's definitely getting replaced. That's just real.
Listen,
that's like Charles' like college roommate.
It's a GM,
high school roommate or something.
Yeah, we were friends in high school.
A GM's responsibility to make moves like that. I mean, you got to remember that you have other guys on offense that are going to come up for contracts. You can't keep them all. I mean, you already have some big money.
Denzel's I think he's like the staple outside Myles Garrett.
Not disagreeing, but if he does, if he does come in and play well, I mean, that's, do you want to keep Ward or do you want to keep Chubb in 2 years? Like
that's my whole thing. Like Baker's coming up on a contract year, yep. Chubb's coming up on a contract year, Denzel's coming up on a contract year, and it's like if Marshawn Lattimore gets paid what I think he should get paid, as long as his whole legal issues get cleared out, he's probably going to be $90 million. He's 5-year, $90 million all day long, maybe $100 million. So Denzel's going to be right in that ballpark too, and that's a tough decision for management to make, especially when you have a first-round stud that could be prime for the replacement. So that's the one thing that I fear with that.
From a GM's point of view, I mean, it's smart. I mean, we said it right before we went on the show. You want guys that can start, that perform really well, that are on rookie deals. That's how you win games and get to Super Bowls, when you're not paying really good players top dollar yet. I mean, that's what keeps your window open longer.
That's why our window right now, I feel like we have a legit 2-year window to maximize what we have now.
Well, I mean,
after that draft, man, I think I moved him up from 5th in the AFC.
There's everybody. There's a lot of people on national TV saying that if anybody's going to beat Kansas City this year, it's Cleveland.
I think that's what the Greg Newsome pick short term was, though.
Yeah.
You get a guy that can match up man to man with a corner, and now we don't have Sendejo coming out there at safety anymore. They got John Johnson from the Rams.
Yep.
And then they got other picks in this draft.
Is John Johnson.
It's an underrated pickup for them, actually.
100% is. John Johnson's been, and he's been in a lot of big games.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of big games. Like, he's not afraid of the moment. Guy definitely hits. And Tiny Williams is Chubb.
He's really good.
Now that's a guy
I can't see them letting him walk.
Gotta pay him. I'm not huge into paying running backs. I think you'd pay them when they're top 5 and they're consistently not injured. But Chubb is a guy. He's the exception.
PD wants to know if you want to pay Odell or keep him or get rid of him.
Odell is probably paid. Oh yeah, but Odell's probably one of those guys that probably becomes a cap casualty, possibly.
Yeah, I think.
Or you trade him. If you want to
keep
Ward,
if
you want to keep Ward and Chubb, like OBJ is probably one of the guys that gets axed or traded.
I think it just depends on how. It really depends on how the whole roster shakes out. Because in a situation where Newsome is what I think he could be, then I'm keeping Odell just because we still have Newsome. But it really just depends on how that whole thing goes.
I mean, you still have Landry at that point. I mean, you got to see what Peoples-Jones does this year. I mean, you guys aren't thin there.
That's true. I just think Landry...
And you played better without OBJ last year anyway.
That's true.
Dante swears Denzel Ward won't get replaced. He's Deshaun Lee of the Browns until he gets... I disagree with that comment, but I just want to say
that's a little far-fetched.
Yeah, until he retires, he will start unless he's hurt. That's this point he's putting behind. I don't agree with that, but I guess
I would say not with this regime. I mean,
Denzel played. I think he played 13 games last year. Like he wasn't. He had a good year last year, and
he was just banged up at the end.
Yeah, it wasn't nothing. And then he had COVID, so he missed 2 games because of COVID.
Yeah.
So
So I want to address something Hackney said on the wire line. I think this is real big for the Browns. He said, "What about how Baker excels without OBJ?" And we said that. I didn't say that. Cottrell said that last year. I want to be clear about that. Cottrell said that last year, and I got a fly in front of me. Come on, toxic. We got toxic flies flying around here. But Cottrell said that last year. And Cottrell, break that down first, real quick, before we go into Eagles.
So I did say that I thought Baker would play well without OBJ. I didn't think it was going to be as big of an issue as a lot of people who don't watch Browns football thought it was going to be. But we also have to remember that last season there were no training camps, there were no OTAs. Like, these guys didn't have a preseason. So Baker and Odell really didn't get a chance to get chemistry, and we saw Odell really thrive in the game against Dallas. You know, what offense didn't, but they had a good connection. They had a good connection there, and I just feel like this upcoming season is going to show us what we need to know. If they still can't click this year, then you got to think about moving on from them. But actually having training camp, getting the OTAs, like getting to practice with these guys, having preseason games, it's gonna matter a lot, and especially because this is the second year with Stefanski. This is the second year with Van Pelt as their OC. So these guys know each other. They have more time to practice, more time to gel, get the timing down. Baker, of course, is going to be more comfortable with the guys that he's been playing here with since he was playing as a rookie outside of Peoples-Jones. But I just really feel like we're going to see the true chemistry form between Odell and Baker this year.
Has Cleveland announced if they're going to do OTAs yet? Because most teams are opting out of it.
They haven't announced it yet. I doubt it, but they're going to have preseason football, and I know they're still going to have like practice before the season. Yeah, training camp.
Yeah, I'm just saying they won't be on the field with each other probably till training camp.
Yeah, but that's even more than they had last year, though, and I'm okay with that.
Are they doing preseason again this year? I thought they were cutting that because they're going to 17.
No, they got 3 games. They're cutting it down.
Matt Godfrey with the line of the night. My mom would thrive against Dallas, but not Jalen Hurts. That's a line right there.
Winner. There's truth to it.
So that's a good transition into the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles draft. What did you think of the Eagles draft? Shally starts off, resident Philly guy.
I mean, the first round was great. I mean, how he thought was going to happen, it happened. I mean, he moved down and ended up getting the guy that, I think most Eagles fans wanted all along. They got Devonta Smith. Great weapon for Jalen Hurts. I don't like all the, everybody's, we're trying to make Jalen better. We're fully behind him because it's already been proven that's BS. But they were trying to trade up to get Zach Wilson. But again, that is the guy that, the majority of the fans wanted. That is the guy from the get-go that, I was on. He fell to 11. After that, it's, I think you could ask questions and have discussions. I like Landon Dickerson a lot. A lot of people think it's a stretch. A lot of people think it was a reach because of his injuries. I'm with you on that. I get it. He's going to be Kelsey's replacement. If he stays healthy, a lot of what you said before the show, the kid is a leader. The kid, if you're a captain of the Alabama football team, it says something for you as a person, as a kid. Obviously, his leadership skills. And the center is, other than left tackle, the center is the glue to your offensive line. And he almost has like a little Kelsey in him. I saw this one clip where they were interviewing Mac Jones, I think it was, and he's doing like cartwheels.
Day,
like he has that goofy Kelsiness in him.
I love it, though.
I love it. Listen, if the kid stays healthy, he's a stud. He was the best center in college last year. He got hurt right before the national championship game. They put him in at the end, so he got credit for playing in it. With a torn ACL, but he had, for his detractors, there's truth to it. He's had catastrophic injuries, 3 out of the last 4 years. So for a young kid, he's had a lot of work done to him already.
It's funny. PD gave a really good line. He goes, "Our offensive line's biggest problem is health, and you drafted a health risk at."
He's right.
Line.
He's right.
He's right.
He's 100% right. And in regards to that, it is hard to defend the health aspect of it.
Kind of pissed they passed on Samuel Jr., but I love Landon Dickerson.
Yeah, How
do you not love Landon Dickerson? If you've watched him play, you can't not love the kid.
If you watched when they had like the reaction video, like everybody that was there was excited, and he was almost like on the phone. I just want to go play. Like, I'm ready to get to work. Like, he didn't get caught up in the hoopla. I love that attitude, especially from a lineman. Like he's a grinder guy. Like he reminds me of Kelsey. Like he's a guy that's gonna play hurt. Like wants to get in the trenches, get dirty, like punch people in the face. Like,
the fun part about him
good.
is if he's like, if I can guarantee a healthy career out
He's
of
a
him,
great pick.
he's a 10-time Pro Bowler.
I don't know. I don't.
He's
put
probably
10.
not gonna play 10 years because of his injuries.
Well, I'm
that
saying
he had,
if
but like,
you're
no, I got you.
guaranteeing his health,
He's a
I think, yeah, if you
I'm
guarantee
with
his
you on
health-
that. He's a perennial Pro Bowler if he's healthy, and that's why I love the pick. The upside to me outweighs the downside.
With what he's had happen to him, you have to be happy with 6 really good years with him. Like I just don't see him having that kind of longevity with what he's had in his past. But at the same time, he gets to sit out this year, and you guys, I know
don't tell Howie that. Howie,
he should
Don't tell Howie that.
He should get to sit out this year. He gets a whole year off to get himself together, get acclimated to the Eagles organization, learn everything that he needs to know. Kelsey retires at the end of next year. Boom, plug and play guy, and the rest should be history. So I actually really like that pick for you guys.
Hot take needs to chill.
Who's
I love
take?
Dante. Hot take. People are sleeping on Asante. He's better than Caleb Farley and J.C. Horn. Hot
No,
take.
he's not.
JC.
No, he's
Relax.
not.
You can
Hot
argue.
take.
You can
You can
argue
argue
Caleb
Farley because Farley's not a
not
man
JC
guy.
Horn.
I agree. Not J.C. Horn.
No, I agree with you.
I mean, I think me and you both agree day 3 was a shit show.
Yeah, well, I have a point on day 3.
I love the first. I love Devontae falling. I will say I was with Gene when we moved up and Fields was there. That I honest to God thought we were taking Justin Fields, and it was going to get real interesting and real funny. But we took Devontae. He made the right pick. I mean, for Justin Fields' sake, I don't know if it'd be better if he was here or Chicago. I guess that remains to be seen. I like the Dickerson pick. Day 3, it all fell apart for me. If we had a really good day 3, I think the Eagles are in the conversation for having the best draft. We've all seen the video about Tom Donahue
That
snubbing.
was the end of day 2.
Yeah.
I think it fell apart after the second pick. You're going day 3.
Yeah, I mean, because you don't know what he is yet. I mean, if he turns out to be, again, if he turns out to be a productive tackle, I mean, I guess you can't really be mad. And again, like you said, we have to see what's his face turns out to be.
Don't steal my point.
So I'm just saying it's day 3 it fell apart. I think that's why it knocks us down to a B. This is one of those drafts where I think the top end is good, and probably everybody we took in day 3 is probably not on this team.
Okay, so here's my take on the Philadelphia Eagles draft. Devontae Smith, Slim Reaper, great pick. I'm very happy they picked up an extra first-round draft pick. Howie looks like genius. Great job. Landon Dickerson, I don't mind the pick. I would have preferred Asante Samuel Jr., but I didn't mind the pick. You have to like Landon Dickerson. You have to. He's a great kid.
You would have got mad eventually because he would have been getting beat with double moves as a rookie, and you guys would have been like, "Oh, this pick's terrible."
Again.
You're happy with Landon. I'm telling you, you're happy with Landon.
I love Landon Dickerson. Just not the name you need to remember. And I put this on the wire line because I realized it was going to get out there really fast, and I wanted to get ahead of it. Remember the name Aaron Robinson, okay? At pick 70, Howie Roseman tried getting cute, smartest guy in the room. I'll pick up an extra 6th-round draft pick. I'm going to trade back 3 spots. The reason him and Tom Donahue got in that little spat that was shown on TV is very clear. On their board, they clearly had Aaron Robinson. I can't guarantee this, but on their board, it felt like they had Aaron Robinson. The Eagles went back from 70 to 73, and the Giants traded right up to number 71 and took Aaron Robinson, cornerback out of UCF. I feel like that's going to hurt us.
Well,
I feel like that's going to be an issue.
I mean, it is. I mean, the other stuff, there's been other stuff that's slowly leaked out about that not only was he higher up on the board, he was somebody apparently that they were actually like targeting. Like Donahue was extremely high on him.
Yep.
So when he was on the board, he thought it was a slam dunk. That's what we were taking. And like you said, Howie thought he was going to move back 3 more picks to still get him and pick up a 6th. And then the Giants trade up, interdivision rival, and now we're going to play against them. So we'll see. I mean, who knows?
You take a D tackle. Listen, I can't tell you too much about the kid, but you take a D tackle where his nickname's T-Rex. I don't like that.
No, because if you're playing D tackle, you need separation. You need your arms to get past offensive tackles. Yeah, if his name's T-Rex, I mean, that's probably not a good thing.
Probably not. I also think Zach was a very bad pick. When you looked at all his rankings and all his ratings, I mean, you probably could have got him in the 6th round. He was his Scouts.com gave him a 33 grade. He was ranked as the 306th overall prospect. We took him in the 4th round. I feel like that was like I'm the smartest guy in the room guy. Like you read about the kid, and the kid's got a huge family that's amazing in all different sports. He's got like 3 or 4. I just don't like what they did I don't like what they did at the end of day 2 and day 3, and I felt like their draft fell apart there.
I agree.
So
I feel like Jacoby Stevens is going to be a good pickup for you. He'll probably be a special teams guy first. May sneak onto the field. He has some upside. Like watching him play at LSU, there was times where he was shining on that defense. There was other times where he was completely non-existent, or he was the one that was getting exposed. I don't mind the Kenneth Gainwell pick either. I know you guys have Sanders, but I think that'll be a nice little change of pace kind of back with Gainwell.
Plus
so
he catches the ball in the backfield.
He does.
Really well.
He does. So I think that it could have gone better, but it 100% could have gone a lot worse.
I agree with you. I gave the grade a C+, as an overall grade. A lot of people gave him a B+. I couldn't do that when you hit on 1.5 picks. I think who's the kid from LSU they took?
Jacoby Stevens.
Yeah, I think they're going to move him to linebacker. I think he'll have a pretty good career. They already said they're moving to linebacker. I think they're going to move him
think about like what outside, and he's going to cover slots.
Yeah, or outside cover tight ends.
I can see that.
But I gave him a C. What'd you give him?
I gave him a B.
And you?
I'll probably go B-. Wait, so you give them a B and you give the Browns a B+?
Yeah.
What?
Give you your credit. It's better. What do you want from me?
Okay.
You gave
I
me,
love it.
You gave me an A+.
The Cottrell
which means
thought
it's perfect.
process as soon as it happened.
No, I didn't
You had
say
to be
A+.
here.
That's A.
You
Gene
said A.
said A+.
And you said yeah. That's why I said
I said A.
you said A+.
I said no. Stop. I said Pro
said
We
Football
can run it
Focus-
back. We
Pro
can run it
Football
back.
Run it
Focus
back.
gave an A+.
We can run it back. Gene
Pro
said A+,
Football
and I
Focus
said yeah.
I said they had the A+ draft.
And then we were doing introductions. I said
said
A+,
yeah.
really? And you were like, yeah. And I was like,
or A.
That means you agree with it.
All right, so draft complete in the books. Any other comments?
No. I mean, now it's
A wait and see game.
wait and see what everybody's got and what translates to the field and who was actually right, who was wrong. And
Had the Cowboys not drafted Jabril Cox, they would have 100% been
So it's
my
funny
team to
because
pick.
Hackney just said I was reading at how are you growing birds for not taking? First of all, that hurts so much. That kills me that the Eagles didn't take Jabril Cox and the Cowboys got him. And the next day, and we're not picking up Leighton's 5th-year contract. Sorry. Bye, Van Der Esch.
I think that was more about Micah than Jabril Cox, but
Getting both of them is like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, for sure. You're out of here.
They already paid Jalen.
We paid Jalen. We probably shouldn't have, but we're not going to make the same mistake with you, buddy.
I completely agree. We got to get into Aaron Rodgers, though. Aaron Rodgers had a lot of comments recently. Stole the show on day one, essentially. Right before day one.
Did he have a lot of comments, or was there just a lot of speculation?
A lot of speculation.
Okay.
But
a lot of it's leaked out from his side, though.
Correct.
I mean, that's definitely not what the Packers wanted coming out the day of the draft.
Right before the draft. And
Yeah.
it changed the thought process of some
Did.
teams. Like you thought, so one team, I think it actually changed their draft. I think the Denver Broncos might have changed their pick from Justin Fields
They absolutely did.
because of that.
And it makes sense now when you look at it in hindsight because they are one of the two teams that, A, can afford him and have the players and the draft picks, the equity to get him. I guess if you take Justin Fields there, he could have been part of the package. But, now I'm curious to see if they do trade for him, if Surtain stays or if he's part of the package that goes.
No.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
I don't
Bro,
think you
I
can trade
love
first
that
round
you've
picks
got
now.
the nickname Latrell. Like, so many people. Latrell said A.
Yeah.
I love it. Latrell Sprewell or Cottrell. Come on. But the Aaron Rodgers overall comments, or not comments, but the information that leaked out that came out, man, I mean, everything I hear is less than 5% chance, 0% chance. He's definitely not going to play for the Packers again. He's either going to retire and host Jeopardy. Or
I mean, that's what he wants to do. I mean, it's again. I think people are not factoring in that, like, as much as everybody loves Aaron Rodgers and everybody wants this, and this, Green Bay really holds the cards here, and I don't think they're. It's not going to be a good look, but I don't think they're going to back down on this. They're going to come out of it one way or the other with, I would say, what they want, and he's got to be careful what he wishes for too. I mean. Again, it's down to, I think, Denver, and who's the other team?
I think Washington. There's a few teams. There's 7 teams.
They said there's only 2 or 3 that realistically can afford him.
They wouldn't trade him to an NFC team. Like, if there was a team to trade for him, it would have to be somebody in the AFC because the Packers don't want to see him potentially in the playoffs.
Right. Well, I mean, if they trade him, they're not going to the playoffs.
I agree with that point.
So that's
the point right there. If they trade him, I don't think Jordan Love's that good. And I guess we'll find that out, but I just don't.
I mean, we have no idea. But
my whole thing with the Packers is if Aaron Rodgers has told you guys, I mean, you can call his bluff if you want to, but if he told you guys it's either you trade me or I'm going to retire, why would you lose him for nothing?
They're not going to lose him for nothing. That's what I mean.
What do you mean they wouldn't lose him for nothing?
He's going to retire. He'll retire. His money comes off the book for next year.
Okay, that's fine. I'm talking about talent. Their team doesn't get any better.
I get it, but you're calling his bluff, saying then, okay, we're not going to trade you, so do you really want to walk away from football?
Yes.
I don't think he does. That's my point. And that's why I think Green Bay, I think at some point, like they're probably behind closed doors being like, we're going to take heat for this in the media. And I don't think they should as much as they're doing, but that's a different discussion. But they're really going to bat down the hatches and be like, we're going to keep him. But
D. Godfrey said he thinks Green Bay seen it a mile away. Why draft? See, my response to that is I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yep.
I don't think that.
But it is. But again, we talked about it right before the show. The one knock on him is he is what?
Fragile.
He's fragile. He's selfish. He's an ego guy.
My point.
The GM's number one. Again, you could disagree with the pick, and I'm not going to sit here and defend the Love pick, but you have to. If you're a good GM, you're not always planning for the season that's coming up. You have to plan for 3 years down the road. Just like your Denzel Ward situation. It's not really popular because everybody loves Denzel Ward, but if you're drafting a guy that's going to be cheaper, that you think is going to be just as good, that helps your team financially 2 years from now, it makes sense.
Yeah, but Newsom can come in. Newsom can come in and help us win now, though. The thing with Jordan Love is if you get a second-round quarter, if they would have took Jalen Hurts last year, I can't say much about that pick. If you take a receiver or, offensive lineman in the first round and then you take Jalen Hurts in the second round, I'm like, hey, Green Bay is just covering, their backside on this one. But when you don't do that and you just get guys that consistently aren't going to be weapons for Aaron Rodgers, I think at some point you have to get frustrated and fed up with that.
He's never not had weapons.
You can't say that. You can't say that.
We get into this so much.
You can't say he's never not had weapons just because.
Has he always had Devontae Adams? Like maybe if he's not 1 or 2, he's 3. No, he hasn't. But again, he's always had all pro guys around him. Has he had the best offensive line ever? No. But that's what quarterback has always had the best offensive line and the top 3 weapons in the league?
I'm not saying you have to have the top 3 weapons in the league.
That's what makes you great. That's
how many quarterbacks have never
great.
Drafted a first-round pick or a second-round pick at a skill position? Even you talked about the Patriots. They took Gronk in the second round. They said, hey, we got to get Tom Brady a weapon.
That is my whole point, though. You guys get so caught up. You got to have first-round talent. You got to have first-round talent.
It doesn't have to be first-round talent.
So what's the difference if the wide receiver's good and you pick him in the 2nd or the 5th? It makes no damn difference.
It's about
you pick Gronk in the 2nd. He's a Hall of Famer now.
Okay, so what are the chances of a first-round receiver being all-pro as opposed to a 5th-round receiver being all-pro? If that was the case, you just take whoever you want to in the first round, and the whole evaluation process doesn't matter.
It doesn't have to time. That's what I mean. Exactly. Terrell Davis, one of the best running backs ever.
Okay, there's examples.
There's always outliers, so don't give me it's got to be a first-round guy. Nobody out of college projected Gronk to be a Hall of Fame tight end.
I'm not saying Hall of Fame.
Nobody.
But second round, they said, hey, this guy must have talent, so we're going to take him in the second round. And it's also
if Aaron Rodgers is that good, just like Tom Brady, just like Joe Montana, just like John Elway, they're supposed to make the players around them better, and he does. So don't tell me it's got to be a first-round pick all the time if it can be a second-round guy.
I'm not saying all the time.
Guys,
maybe once ever.
Can you imagine if he had a first-round draft pick?
That's what
Can
I'm saying.
you imagine if he had a first-round talent around him?
Since
So
2000,
would
since
you rather have
2000
a first-round draft pick or Devontae Adams right now?
Devontae Adams is your lone outlier.
But it's the only one that matters.
It's not the only one that matters.
Why?
Because,
He's been in the league for 16 years. Why is that the only one that matters?
So when you go through the Green Bay Packers wide receivers, Green Bay Packers running backs, Green Bay Packers any skill position players, my only point that I'll counteract that with is what have they done outside of what Aaron Rodgers does for them? So, like, we talk about Valdez-Scantling. We talk about Adam Lazard. We talk about the receivers that Aaron Rodgers has that aren't Devontae Adams, who's a second-round draft pick. And you see how good he made a second-round draft pick, Devontae Adams. If you give him first-round talent, he makes it even better.
Just one.
And Tom Brady took Gronkowski, a second-round tight end, made him into a Hall of Fame player.
He did.
Hall of Fame player. Aaron Rodgers took a second-round talent in Devontae Adams and is making him into a Hall of Fame wide receiver. If you give him more talent around him, he makes that talent way better.
So Devontae Adams isn't good if he doesn't play for Green Bay. That's
He's
what
not.
you're
That's
saying.
not what he's saying. But he's not all pro. He's not Hall of Fame caliber without Aaron Rodgers.
He's not all pro.
All pro is top 2 receivers
Yes,
in the
I
NFL.
wouldn't say
So
all-pro. I'd say maybe Pro Bowl.
exactly. So that means he's not all pro without Aaron Rodgers.
All right.
With Aaron, you have a shot to be all pro.
I guess we'll see.
He took another undrafted free agent tight end and took him to the Pro Bowl. It's
I just think it's
these
a
guys,
wild
just all the guys,
misconception that he doesn't have talent around him.
We didn't say he doesn't have talent around him. We've said
No,
they
I agree with you.
haven't plucked the top talent and made them available for Aaron Rodgers.
If you're winning 12 games a year, you're not going to get a Julio
that
Jones
is
every
not
other year.
that is not the point.
It
That's
is
not
the point.
No, it's not.
What is the point? Take a stance one way or the other.
Okay,
then.
so my point is,
Does
but
he-
this
has
is my
he had
point.
weapons or not?
I got you. This is my point here. The Ravens. The Ravens are the perfect example of this. Lamar Jackson won MVP a couple seasons ago. They made it to the playoffs last year. They got to the second round. What did the Ravens do? They went out and got Rashad Bateman at 27 to give Lamar Jackson a weapon. They didn't wait until the 4th, 5th round to get a tight end here or a running back there
This will be
to
Lamar
help him
Jackson's
out.
what? 3rd year, 4th year?
It's 4th year.
Okay.
My point is they're getting.
He's won MVP.
Yes.
And been successful all
and they,
3 years
and
without
they still
one.
Got, and they
without
still got
one.
him a weapon, and that they're going to get him a weapon to try and get them over the hump. That's what good GMs do.
Okay, correct. Now think about it. Lamar Jackson's done all that without one, and Aaron Rodgers is bitching, and he's got
We
Devontae
can't say he did it
Adams.
without one because they took Hollywood Brown at the end of the first round too.
What's Hollywood Brown?
The other
first round wide receiver.
Right.
But the other
Perfect
thing,
example. First round receiver that turned out to not be good.
But the other point
is
to
he
that
not
though,
good?
the other point to that though is
average.
Lamar Jackson only dealt with this for 4 years. Aaron Rodgers has dealt with this whole spiel.
years.
I need a
for
list.
16
I need a
years
list
when
of
he was in
everybody's
Green
had.
Bay.
It just
Right
I
now,
just
who
feel
he
like
has? I got to put up for you the people that he has on his team right now.
No. His whole career. His whole career.
Valdez-Scantling was a 5th round pick. Aaron Jones was a 5th round pick.
I don't
Lazard's
care where they're
undrafted.
picked. I
Tunyon's
care what they
undrafted.
turn about what they turn into.
But what if they turn into without Aaron Rodgers?
It doesn't. That doesn't matter because they're playing with Aaron Rodgers.
So
this
if-
isn't what it's going to be versus what
Could you
they are with
imagine how
Aaron
good
Rodgers.
they would
It doesn't
be?
matter.
It
They're
does matter.
drafting him to play with Aaron
You
Rodgers.
saying it louder doesn't make your point any better.
because you keep talking over me.
The Steelers had Mike Wallace, and Ben Roethlisberger made him look really good, and then he left Pittsburgh,
Right,
and he
that's
was
what
horrible.
Great quarterbacks do.
Correct.
Nobody's not saying
Correct.
Aaron Rodgers isn't a great quarterback. My point is that's his job.
Why don't you get elite talent and put him around him? That's all. That at least one. If you put
He
that
has it
around
right
him,
now, and we're still bitching about it.
You're calling it.
not having a first
Okay.
round receiver for 16 years
All
in
right,
your career.
So Devontae Adams is a bum. If Aaron
I didn't
Rodgers
say
doesn't
he
play
wasn't.
this year.
I didn't say he was a
He's
bum.
average.
I
He's
didn't say he
average.
was a bum.
He's average.
I didn't. Did I say that?
What is he then?
Well, I mean, the biggest point is look at Michael Thomas without Drew Brees.
If you go 16 years,
He was not good with
if you
Taysom
go
Hill. He
six-
wasn't good.
If you go 16 years and your team never drafts a first round receiver, I understand your frustration with the organization.
Nobody's answered my question yet. I
We
never
didn't know he's not. Devontae Adams is still good. Yes, we understand that. That's
Still
not
good.
the point here. That's not the
I'm
point.
saying he's had talent the whole time he's been there. He hasn't had Julio Jones every year, but again, like to your point, there's 2 or 3 of them in the league. So
They don't have to have Julio. That's not our argument here. That's not the argument.
So I said, pull up the list of the people he's had, and when you read down it from top to bottom, you go, you know what? He's had better people than people give him credit for.
he's had Jordan Nelson. He has Greg Jennings. He's had Randall Cobb. Like I
Right,
understand
they're
that
not
guy.
bums.
I understand that.
But we
And none of them
talk
left
about them in
Green Bay and did
hindsight.
well.
We're not saying that he's
Oh my
had
God.
bums. We're not
You
saying
keep
he's had
using
bums.
that. That's proving
We're
my
not saying
point.
he's had bums.
That's proving my point.
It's not. It's actually completely counteractive to your point.
Okay, it's not. All right, I'm done with this.
Good.
'Cause
We're
it's
not
not.
done
We're
with
not
it.
saying
Cool,
he had bums. We're not saying that. We understand he's had talent.
No.
We're saying he doesn't
He's
have
saying
first
he
round
has.
talent.
Okay.
That's all we're saying.
Someone get him a binky, bro.
Dude, stop.
Like,
a
jeez,
binky.
man.
Stop.
Smacking the table. I'm done.
You're right.
Aaron Rodgers, all he
fifth on the
needed.
show, and you're gonna say shit like that.
You do all the time.
Okay, so do you.
Smacking things, crying, screaming.
Cry? Okay.
Listen, at the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers had Devontae Adams, Jordy Nelson, Greg Jennings, Donald Driver, and none of those players outside Devontae Adams is like a first-team All-Pro. And it just Devontae Adams developed into that after, 6 years in the league? It's not like Aaron Rodgers developed these players. Aaron Rodgers makes these players better by throwing them open and them becoming
What good
better.
quarterback doesn't make the players around them better?
Correct. So, can you imagine if he had more skill around him?
I think this will be
But you're
different.
saying Devontae isn't good. You're saying
No, we're not.
They're
We're
making,
not saying
No,
that.
we're not.
That's
you
not what we're
just
saying.
said he makes them better. So if
does.
he doesn't have Aaron
So he makes
Rodgers,
a
so what
good-
is Devontae?
He makes a good receiver great. He makes a
Has Devontae been a first-team All-Pro yet?
He just was last year.
Okay, so I'm asking. So was this year?
Yes.
It was him and who? DeAndre, I'm assuming?
No, Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs was the
And him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So one guy. So we're saying he's had one good weapon. That's what we're saying.
No, that's not what we're saying.
My whole
the
point is he's
argument-
had good people around him. Not great,
Bill,
but good
we
enough to
understand,
win.
Bill, we understand that. We agree there. At least I agree with you
Okay,
on that
you
point.
do. He
I agree
doesn't.
with you on that point. My point is the fact that if the Packers have drafted a first-round receiver up, any point in this 16 years and it hasn't worked out, we're having a whole different conversation here. But the fact that they haven't even attempted to get him a first-round talent is an issue in itself. That's my whole issue with it. Aaron is saying, look, we're one game away from going to a Super Bowl and you're taking a quarterback and I don't have any, if Devontae Adams has a hamstring injury, Devontae Adams has had a few injuries here and there where he's been out of games and not been with them down the stretch. I don't think it's absurd for Aaron to be unhappy that they haven't addressed the receiver position in the first round ever in his tenure there.
Okay. He's had enough talent to win. He's had more talent to win with, and people have won with less. Tom Brady's a perfect example.
So you're going to use the greatest of all time as an example. Give me a different one.
I don't have to give you a different one because he did it 7 times. The one year he had a elite wide receiver was Randy Moss. They didn't win, so he's the perfect
They only
example.
went 19-0.
He gave up money every year, kept restructuring his contracts, made the offensive line better, made the defense better. Tom Brady's got 7 rings. Aaron
Tom
Rodgers
Brady's
has
the
won.
greatest of all time. No one's arguing that.
And he's won with less weapons.
Not everybody's Tom Brady.
He's won.
And I don't think Aaron Rodgers is Tom Brady.
He's won with less talent than Aaron Rodgers. Bar none, hands down.
I agree with you.
Okay,
but he's also had better defenses
so I don't
every
have
year.
to keep. So I don't have to keep.
He's also had better defenses every year.
He's also had a better coach his whole career.
Facts. That's a fact.
Well, I mean, we'll see how much it is with Bill. I mean, Tom won one without him. So
Look, we're not
Hackney,
arguing Brady
again,
over.
Put the Hackney comment up.
my whole again. The whole thing is, I am not saying he's had Devontae Adams his whole career.
That was my point.
Which one?
Hackney says the same thing. Name a green receiver that left him was good. That's my point.
Okay.
Devontae Adams would be that one. I agree.
Okay.
We got to get into fictional coaches bracket. This has been a very spirited debate.
This will be a little bit more lighthearted, We'll probably be a lot more on the same
It's good to
side
calm it
here.
down a little bit. You want to throw the fictional coaches bracket out? We're doing Elite 8. We have slotted over a little bit. Here we go. We got Herman Boone versus Tony Diamato. Herman Boone, remember the Titans. Tony Diamato, any given Sunday. I think this is the easiest of the 4 matchups today. I could be wrong, but I will start with Cottrell.
So I feel like it's been my common theme here. Well, not common theme, but like I've been telling you guys how much I love any given Sunday. And it pains me to do this, but I got to go with Herman Boone on this one. It's just
Does
he
it
was the
pain
better.
you to do that?
It does. Willie Beeman, that's my guy. The fact that Tony Diamato coached him up, got him to, superstar potential, I should say, just because we only saw him that one season. Herman Boone has to be the pick here. He just did too much for that team.
Bill, you want to give anything different than that?
No, I mean, one of the things I've said from the get-go, too, the end result matters to me. Herman Boone won. Tony didn't. So I would have picked Herman Boone anyway, but it's Herman Boone for me.
Herman Boone is absolutely the pick, and I don't think it's a surprise to anyone. I think he's one of my favorites to win it all. I think he's absolutely incredible what he did with that Titans team. And, yeah, Herman Boone, this is a landslide here.
He made us remember them.
Remember the day they played. That was not even Herman Boone. It was Coach Yost. But Eric Taylor versus the Mick, Mickey Goldman. Eric Taylor from Friday Night Lights, the Mick from Rocky. Mickey's made it a long way. Runs into the 1 seed, Eric Taylor. Shally, start us off with this one.
This one's easy for me. It's Eric Taylor. Mickey definitely helped Rocky overachieve. But Eric Taylor he's won too much. Rocky lost too much. And I don't want to give too much away because I know you just started watching the show, but it's Eric Taylor very easily for me.
Okay. Cottrell?
Eric Taylor, all day long.
So
all day long.
I'm watching Friday Night Lights now. I've been watching. I'm 3 episodes in. Not crazy. It's 5 seasons.
That's a good business decision.
Here's all right, and I'll get into this argument a little bit more next week when we get into further rounds.
Oh, I want to argue against you now. I was hoping you had something strong for
picking Eric Taylor.
Okay.
But I think Eric Taylor, like you look at all the coaches on this list, I think it's just a little unfair that you get like 6 hours, maybe if you have 2 movies, versus 5 seasons of character building with Eric Taylor. He's the only sitcom. Like we didn't have Hayden Fox on here. I get he's that good of a coach that we put him on here, but he's
fair.
The only sitcom, like only TV show coach that we have on.
But at the same time, it wasn't.
You could put Eric Taylor season 1, and the results right now are going to be the same. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not going to go into next week, but nothing's going to change.
I will say this too: it wasn't like yes, there's 5 seasons of Friday Night Lights, but it's not like we're getting like a whole football season in one episode. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't. I understand the whole dynamic of his character. Yes, that gets drawn out a little bit more, but the fact that he's winning, I mean, that's summed up in, whatever, if it's a season finale or, 1 episode here and there, if he wins or loses or whatever. So I think that's the counter to your argument.
I get it. I just, when I look at it, I look at people that it just feels like you have 3 hours of one guy and you have 5 seasons of another. So Eric Taylor's moving on. We're not really going to get too far into that, but I guarantee you next week's going to be a little spirited. Because Herman Boone versus Eric Taylor, and if you guys are, if Bill's saying it's not going to change already, you kind of know his pick. You know my pick. So we're going to get into, I guess you'll phone in for it, or Dante will give us a pick.
Don't put the pressure on me on
that
one.
That's yeah. Here's another one, and this is the closest of the 4, in my opinion. Norman Dale versus Lou Brown. Norman Dale from Hoosiers, the best fundamental coach in this bracket by far, versus Lou Brown, the most funniest coach in the bracket by far. And this is a great matchup. This is a phenomenal matchup. And in my power rankings, this is 2 and 3. This is 2 and 3. I just don't know who's 2, who's 3. The problem lies here is my vote might not matter. I'll start with the Cleveland guy.
If your vote might not matter, then let's put
go second.
Let's put the
I'll
pressure on Shally. Okay,
yeah,
I like that. So you guys probably have a good idea of where I'm going with my pick. I'm going with my guy Lou Brown here. I just feel like that situation for him, I mean, literally he went into a joke, and he went there and he turned the franchise around and they started winning. Lou Brown is a great coach, and there's not much more I need to go into. We've said it all, these past like 2-3 weeks with Lou Brown.
Yeah, so you better put up a better argument than that, because I'm going to try to sway his opinion.
That's fine.
Because I love Lou Brown.
Once you start arguing, though, I'll have like
what the funny thing is?
Just jab at you.
The funny thing is, the more I argue, the more I think I lose points. With him, look, I'll make it very simple. I love both these coaches. I think they're incredible. I have to go with Norman Dale here by the slightest of margins. But Norman Dale, like, when do we get out of the funny? When do we get out of the joking? When do we get out of the fact that it's just he's comedic relief, and Norman Dale was just a better coach. Like, he just was. The fundamentals were there. You watch Hoosiers, I guarantee if you polled the audience and if the poll was over 40 years old.
I was going to say, it depends on the age.
Yes, correct. They'd all take Norman Dale. Hoosiers is that movie. The way they passed the ball, the unskilled group he took to go against, like, seriously, athleticism, that had to be, the Hickory team was terrible. Well, that Hickory team did not have the athletes to compete, but they passed the ball well. They played great defense. They ran the court. They hustled, and they wore teams down. That Hickory, listen, I'm going Norman Dale, and I'm going to put the pressure on Shally so he can go with the joke guy.
I was just going to say, the only argument that I'll make against what you said is, yes, Lebron didn't really have the real fundamentals per se, but he got that team to win. I don't care how they're doing it. They won. He got the best out of that team, and he came out of nowhere to win. So that's why
Hoosiers didn't win?
I didn't say they didn't win, but
you're
I would say Norman went to a better situation than Lou.
To Shally's point,
Norman went to a better situation.
Did he?
Than Lou.
Did he?
Yeah.
5 unathletic white kids?
They're about to be out of the league.
Look, I'm going to make it very simple when I say this. To Shally's point, and I'm going to try to use it against them, what did Cleveland do? They made it to the play-in game? They didn't even win. Shally, on you. Go ahead. Pressure's on.
So when this came up earlier in our group chat, I actually dug back into Hoosiers a little bit. You can't say they didn't have any talent. They had a little bit of talent.
That's a fact.
And they did have Jimmy Chitwood, who was like Mr. Indiana for basketball, and they got him to come back when they threatened to fire Dale.
Great admission, by the way. Chris Hackner on the Wireline said Nick Nolte and Blue Chips. I've been fighting for it since day one, my friend. He's in the NIT.
He was
number 1 seed.
He's at 1 seed in the NIT. He was like one of the first 3 off. Last 4 out, whatever you want to call it. So you compared high school kids to, I mean, definitely not Major League Baseball players. I mean, you have
double A at best, maybe.
Willie Mays Hayes.
I mean, Rick Vaughn came from the California Penal League, so
but he threw gas.
He threw gas.
Sounded
like it. I'll be honest. I came into today before we started talking about this when I came up in the afternoon, very dead set on going one way, and then Gene brought some stuff up in the chat, and I kind of dug into it, and I'm actually pissed at both of you for putting this on me.
Yes,
good job.
Come on,
good job,
brother.
Gene. Good job.
I would have much rather have gone to go first on this one. Sticking to my criteria, though, Gene brings up a good point. Norman Dale won. Lou Brown didn't.
Whoa! Before you pick, though, keep the roster in mind. All right,
but
keep it in mind.
But
keep the roster in mind.
But he said, "Sticking to my criteria."
If you're going,
keep the roster in mind.
Talent-wise, if you have one superstar, it's a little easier to win in high school than it would be versus Major League Baseball. You have Jake Taylor, 2 bad knees, coming back from the Mexican League again. Rick Vaughn just got out of jail.
Roger Dorn.
Dorn was an overpriced, overpaid prima donna. Willie Mays Hayes was a walk-on. Like he wasn't even supposed to be there.
The one thing I'll say about that movie that drives me nuts every time is how they pass off Wesley Snipes to Omar Epps movie to movie like we don't know. Come on, what kind of bullshit was that?
Well, they didn't have it. Well, Wesley Snipes wanted like $20 million for the
I
sequel.
get it, but like find someone else. That's a real big difference.
It's like, oh,
real big difference.
You look a little different. Did you shave your head?
Yeah, but like
a little.
I wish they would have brought in Epps as like that same type of player and like renamed the character, and like that would have been more believable to me. But I guess they really made a choice. I mean, he was anyway.
Winners win.
Winners win.
Roster.
I just want to say that Buddy paid for your dinner. That's my last card I'm going with at this point. I went with that one. Buddy, if you're listening at home, that dinner might have paid off. We'll find out shortly.
Remember, he's a Tennessee fan, though, so that should have no bearing on.
He's an Ohio State fan. The guy was from Cleveland. Come on, Bill. Let's go. See how we go from heated to laughing in like 10 minutes?
Can we come back to this?
No.
We both said it. Love it.
I'm going with Lou Brown.
Let's go, Shadley.
He went against his entire criteria. I just want to make it known at home.
I will tell you this.
Sometimes there are some exceptions to the rule.
It's not an exception to the rule. This is what outweighed for me at the end. Doing it at the major league level versus the high school level, and I feel like it's harder at the major league level. I will tell you this, and I meant when I said earlier when I said I could be swayed. You came real close, like real close.
Hey, listen, I'm having fun here.
When I dug into it, I was like, "This isn't what I thought it was." Like at
face value.
I was like, "This isn't the whitewash I thought it was going to be."
Got news for you. I'm probably going to Lou Brown next week, but whatever. Let's go. We got to figure out who he's going against, and we got Mr. Crane Kick, Mr. Miagi, Daniel's son, Julie's son, versus Minnesota Miracle Man, Gordon Bombay of the Mighty Ducks. I'll let you start this one.
This one's easy for me. So, Mr. Miyagi's probably a sentimental favorite for a lot of people. Karate Kid's a great movie. Daniel did win at the end. He beat Johnny. I give Karate Kid bonus points because Elizabeth Shue was gorgeous back then as his girlfriend. But it's Gordon Bombay. He took a bunch of misfit kids that nobody wanted. They played games with newspapers on their shins, made them District 5 champs, went to Olympic level, won there. It's Gordon Bombay.
Talent makes teams, okay? And that District 5 team had some hidden talent. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. Guys, at the end of the day, this is, to me, this is more of a toss-up. It's close. I think Miyagi, Miyagi was a winner. Miyagi won with little frail kid. Little frail girl. Wax on, wax off, I'm going to go Miyagi.
Oh,
I'll put it on you, brother.
Get out of here with this.
I'm going to go Miyagi. Listen.
Gordon Bombay. I'm not even going to entertain what Gene
Can I give you my argument?
Okay.
Dude, you can't even you're not going to listen?
All right, go ahead.
All right, I at least listened to you.
My whole argument against Gordon Bombay, it's more against Bombay than it is for Miyagi, is you look at, you won Pee Wee hockey in a district. Great job. You want a little Pee Wee hockey. That's not that big of a deal. Now you get to the Olympics. That's the argument you're going to make at the Olympics. Ready? His team quit on him, bro. They almost forfeited their way out of after Iceland kicked the shit out of him, and he had to go down to the playground and find all these kids. And and don't act like his players did all this shit. Julie the cat was the star, and he got handed her. You could throw Julie the cat in the he got handed her.
She didn't play the last game.
Well, listen, that's the game she needed to play.
She played in the shootout. That was it. Goldberg got him there.
I don't know about that, bro. Julie the Cat played a little bit more than just a shootout.
No, she didn't.
I bet you she did, because I'm assuming she played.
Goldberg
got sat a game. I know he did.
No, he got thrown out, and then they brought her in, and then the Iceland guys came up and started harassing her because she was a girl, and she pushed one out, and she got thrown out, and Goldberg went back in.
Touche. But my point is, they handed him 5. They handed him the best stick handling guy with the Dwayne. They handed him a big bruiser to go with the Bash Brothers. They handed him the goaltender. I feel like that. I don't know, man. I don't know. Iceland doesn't really win many gold medals anyway. I'm going Miagi.
So I'm hearing your roster point. I think that's a valid point, but I don't want to discredit him winning at all levels as quite as much as you did. So that's what's gonna put him over the edge for me. You win at that. I know Pee Wee level isn't that important.
No,
but when you have a literal game called a miracle on ice, then you win.
No, that's not him.
No, I'm just like
wrong movie.
Not quite literally miracle on ice, but it's a miracle. It was a miracle.
It's District 5. That's not a miracle.
The Mighty Ducks.
That's not a miracle.
Nobody
cares about St. Paul, Minnesota.
Yeah, they don't, but I'd call it a miracle.
With what he had, beat the Hawks.
With what he had, I would call it a miracle.
Banks. They're thieves. They stole banks.
They were playing by the rules. Hawks stole banks. He was
already on the Hawks.
He was returned to his rightful owners.
I'm gonna go Gordon Bombay on this.
I get it.
You wanted to go Gordon Bombay. You just wanted the controversy.
I just not a big look. I love Mighty Ducks. I just don't think Gordon Bombay was that great of a coach. So like me saying Gordon Bombay doesn't win isn't saying I hate the Mighty Ducks. I love the Mighty Ducks. I just, I personally think he wasn't that great of a coach. You lost your whole team. They quit on you. We'll have the Final Four next week. Dante will be in to help out with that. We're going to get some fan participation.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to, seal your picks.
I'll say them right now. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
don't do that.
I was just kidding. Jeez.
You're going to have to, seal your picks, and then between us three, and then, again,
reveal
the
it
final.
on
But
air?
I can't argue. Can I argue with them? I got to be able to sell them on something. I'm all about sales, bro.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm pretty sure I know where I'm going though.
Bro,
I may get my mind changed, but
the one I want to change your mind. I don't care where you go on the right side. The left side's where I care. We'll get into it after the show. I will threaten Cottrell's job on the night. I'm kidding. Let's move on. We have some MLB conversation to get into. We got our Final Four next week. Fans, give Cottrell and Shally some help. They need it. Throw the votes in there. Let them know what you would be happy with.
for what?
For the picks next week. They quit on him twice. Petey said it. Yes. Frankie said the bracket is bull. Frankie, tell me why. Where on this style did we hurt you?
Yeah, where's bull? Like what?
Is he talking about Bull Duran? Because I think he should. I'm just kidding. Alrighty. MLB. So we're going to talk about a couple surprises. A couple teams that stand out this season so far. A couple teams that are just, not as good as we thought they'd be so far. I'll give a little April grades for a couple teams. Surprises. Let's start with Cottrell. We'll end with Shally. I'll go in the middle this time.
You want my surprise, like my good surprise or bad surprises first, or both of them?
Give me both.
Both? All right.
Give me both.
I didn't go. Well, I'll go with my team one. The A's have the best record in the MLB, but my biggest surprise is that there isn't a legit number one team in baseball right now. Like, there isn't anyone who just flew out of the gates unbelievable. Like, there is no 22-8 and 22-7, 23-7 kind of start. And that's kind of surprising to me. I feel like, I'm not going to say normally that's the case, but with how talented some of these teams are, I just thought that would be the case this early on. My shock player-wise is Lindor is batting 163 right now and going to the Mets. That's horrible. Slump is an understatement with him right now. I do think he turns it around. At this point, though, I don't see him being great. It's definitely going to be, a wait-and-see kind of thing with him. I thought it was going to take him some time to get used to being in the NL over there with the Mets, but this is just way too long so far for me.
He's getting to the point where it's going to be hard for him to dig out of it.
Yeah.
Like, he would have to go on, like, a historical type tear to get back to his normal numbers. He was 0 for 3 in the first game this afternoon. They're playing now. He's not even playing the second game.
I don't even want to get into I just want
He's hitting 157.
That's unbelievable.
Rough start to the year. I want to at least just bring up a comment from the Wireline that came out about the coaches bracket, because I think I want to give Frankie his time. So what he said was Bombay wanted them to cheat, and they couldn't win without cheating. They were trying to tell him to take dives. Miagi got Danielson and Juliuson fighting for life. He also had Hall's dad missing overtime. Missing overtime to watch his kids cheat. And I thought that was a very solid point to see his kids lose. So I just want to at least give him his time. Frankie, I don't disagree with you, my friend. Thank you for tuning in. I don't vote for cheaters. I didn't vote for him. All right, let's continue. Kidding.
They didn't win that game anyway.
My I had two other shocks. My Cy Young pick before the year, Lucas Giolito. He has an ERA of almost 5 right now.
Yep. Did
not see that coming for him this early in the season. And then the upside of the surprises is Acuna's batting 330 right now, Mike Trout's batting 407, and Chris Bryant's batting 314. This was as of a couple hours ago, so the numbers may be a little bit different depending on how they batted so far today, but those were my biggest surprises so far this season, especially Chris Bryant. Like, it looks like he may not have actually peaked yet.
So
maybe.
So Hackney's been on the Wireline 3 times saying the same comment. I'm going to address it. He's asking how's the hot Trout hot take going? But he said how's Soto doing? So Soto's batting 352 and hurt.
He's not batting 352.
He was batting 352.
He's batting 300.
and hurt. He hasn't played in 2 weeks, and it's April. Relax. 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 The kid got hurt. Okay? Tears the cover off baseball. Don't worry about Soto.
He's actually been hurt twice this year.
Don't worry about Soto. Soto will be fine. Guy mashes. And it's April, guys. There's also May, June, July, August, September. It's crazy. Now, Mike Trout, on the other hand, let me give credit where credit's due. First of all, it's not that much of a hot take for me to say he's going to win the MVP of the American League. The hot take apparently was the fact that I didn't pick him to be number 1 overall, and he's killing it. Yes, it is.
It wasn't. Now, it wasn't my portion of the hot take. It was the fact that you said Soto was the next coming of Ted Williams and Mike Trout peaked. That was the hot take.
So hold on. Saying that a player had his best season already is like when you say someone peaked, his best season I think he had already. Now what Mike Trout's doing right now is he's proving me wrong, but the last 4 years haven't proved me wrong. So what he's doing this year is different than what he's ever done. He's never had this great of an April.
That's
and
fair.
I got to give the guy credit. I'm not like I got egg on my face right now. If he consistently does this all year in September, I have no problem admitting I'm wrong. I've done it on the show a million times. With that being said, let's not get too insane over April. Do we think the Red Sox are going to win the American League East? No. So one of my surprises are the Red Sox. Red Sox win the American League East right now. No, I had them 4th or 5th. I don't think they're a good roster. Number 2 surprise, the Oakland A's. They're first in the AL West. Who's seen that coming? You had Houston, you had the Angels. No, the Oakland A's. Then they started off like 3-10, and then won like 12 straight. I felt like it was Billy Beane, Moneyball over again. And the other one, who I have to give an A+ to, and I hate to, is our old coach, San Fran. San Francisco is leading the NL West ahead of LA, ahead of the Padres. That's wild to me. For bad, surprisingly bad. The Braves pitching staff. The Braves pitching staff's gotten the starting pitchers have an ERA close to 5. It's been bad. Another one. The Dodgers are not dominating. With that dominant of a roster, that dominant of a pitching staff, they're 17-14. And Kershaw got shelled yesterday. You know, Kershaw's reminding me right now of the year that Roy Halladay hit that boom. I love Kershaw. I hope he comes out of it, but they're my 5 surprise teams right now in the MLB. I'll pass to Shally. I'm sure he'll open up a couple more questions after he gives his surprises, but that's my 5.
Yeah, I mean, you hit on a bunch of mine. Oakland's the only one I don't want to say I disagree with. I mean, I had them in the playing game. Oakland has talent. They have Matt Chapman. They have a bunch of good young players, and their pitching staff is surprisingly pretty solid. My number 1 by far was both Boston and San Francisco. Nobody had them being in first place at the end of April. Nobody did for both of those divisions. Cottrell kind of touched on it earlier. It's crazy too that the parity through the league is wild right now. I mean, there's no division leader right now that's more than 2.5 games up on anybody. It's crazy. It's very tightly bunched and it's close. I mean, I don't know how much of that factors into COVID. I mean, guys not doing what they did normally during the winter, spring training not being as involved as it was before. But it's good for baseball. I mean, it's competitive, and it's entertaining. So, I mean, the longer that goes, the better. My disappointments were the same as well. I actually had the Dodgers and the Padres. The Dodgers actually came out of the gate well, and they've just gone on a skid the last 2.5 weeks. The pitching's not been as great. They're not hitting, which is even more surprising. The pitching's actually held them in games. It hasn't been great, but it's been good. It's been way better than the hitting. Justin Turner's hitting, and that's really it on that team. Muncy, Mookie's not having a good year for Mookie, and Corey's down a little bit. I think Corey's hitting like 250. Like he's under where he should be. And you touched on a little bit too with Soto. The injuries are a big thing. I mean, there's been some big names that are already hurt, or Soto. Like I said, Soto's been hurt twice. Harper's hurt now. DeGrom got hurt yesterday. They scratched him an hour before his start. Bellinger's been out damn near probably over half the year.
Acuna was out for 7 days.
Acuna was out. Dodgers just lost Dustin May for over a year. He's got to have Tommy John surgery. So it's that stuff. It's crazy when you have that many big names get hurt at the beginning of the year. Yelich was hurt. He just came back off the DL when they started playing us. So did Kane. So it's been crazy. I mean, it's for a month and a half of baseball. It's been exciting. And then obviously Acuna and Trout, their starts are just through the roof right now.
100%. Yes, I said 100 times it's April because we're talking about April stats. We're 5 days into May, guys.
Yeah.
I get it. No, it's the comments are coming in. Like, it's April. Like, yeah, April stats. And if Mike Trout's May hasn't been great. Kidding. He's played 3 games. My point being is, we looked at the 1 month of the season. He's batting .430 in April. Awesome job. And I hope, everybody thinks I'm not a Mike Trout fan. I hope that he does great. I hope he has the best season ever. I don't mind having yolk on my face about Mike Trout. Great player. He's local product. Eagles fan. Love it. I just thought a 22-year-old and 23-year-old was Sen. Acuna has done everything I've thought he's done so far, and he's looked awesome, even though he's missed 7 days. Soto's hurt. Give the guy a break. He's hurt.
He's back, but I get you. I got you.
He's back tonight?
Is he playing tonight?
No, he played yesterday.
Did he?
Yeah. Yes, he did. He played yesterday.
But he was out on a 10-day DL, and I know he wasn't back for a while. So if he got back yesterday, then I missed that MO.
He pinch hit today. He was 0 for 1. I don't know what he did yesterday. He's hitting 288.
Yeah, 1 at bat yesterday.
So he's pinch hitting right now.
He struck out.
Yeah, so he's 288 right now. But I mean, he probably only had, he probably doesn't even have 100 at bats yet.
No,
51.
Yeah, so I mean, he's going to fluctuate a lot till. Like, he'll have, if he goes 4 for 4 in a game, he's averaging about 50 points.
All he's got to do is get some rhythm, and he'll be right back to.
He's a great hitter.
Yeah.
I'm not taking anything away from Juan Soto. He's just not Ted Williams. That was my gripe with that whole thing. He's not going to hit 406. That's all I'm saying.
So that's fun. That's a fun comment. I want to make that comment. I want to make it somewhat of a public debate because I'd like to hear your opinion on it. Because me and Shally were talking about this yesterday, and I think it's actually a fun comment, a fun debate. Do you think hitting 406 when Ted Williams hit 406 in 1930 something is the same as hitting 4? Like, if somebody hit 406 now, I would think that'd be a way bigger accomplishment. I think if someone hits 380 now with like 40, 50 home runs, that's actually a bigger accomplishment than someone hitting 400 when. And I don't mean to say this in any smart way, but when baseball is integrated, you look at baseball now, and it's a very diverse sport. So when Ted Williams hit 406, it wasn't a very diverse sport. So my question would be, does 406 equal 406 now, or does 406 equal something else? And what would your opinion be on that? And I know Shally's right, so I kind of want to get control.
No, I mean, that's definitely a fair point, and I know we've talked about it before in our group chats. I don't know what the exact number is. 380 sounds like a good roundabout number, but that's a fair point. But 380 is still not, you don't just have guys hitting 380
Facts.
every year or whatever. Like that's hard to come by still. So I would listen to that argument, and it would just depend on the whole thing with, like, longevity. Like, if you consistently hit 380 or you're 375, like, if you're right around there, then we can entertain that thought. But I don't think that, like, if anybody hit 380 last year and it was a shortened season, it's a different ball game. So
I agree.
Over 162 games, I would be open to listening to, like, if somebody hit 380 and 40 home runs.
I want your opinion. What would my opinion?
I don't have an exact number. That's what that's what I'm saying.
That's fair, but my opinion would be that batting 406 now is way better than batting 406 in 1937.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yes, I agree with that.
Batting 380 now, hitting 45 home runs, 380.
Yes, that's
a better season,
yes,
right? Okay,
correct.
That's my opinion. Now, Bill, we talked yesterday, and he thinks that the Magic 400, because it's so special, and I got to give the guy credit. The guy, he's very consistent on everything he says in that sense that, like, tradition and being able to have legacies. And he made a really good point yesterday, and I'll let him make it.
I'll just say something really quick. I know it's a different sport, but just to, like, how my mind thought about this, triple doubles in basketball never happened. and except Oscar
That's a good
Robertson.
point.
The game changed a little bit. Russ came along.
Rules changed.
Yeah,
which is what factors into that.
No, I understand.
And it's funny because I thought about that earlier when we were
But the
talking
rules
about
changed
it.
with baseball too, though. Like the shift wasn't as popular as it was. It's not as popular as it is now as it was then. You know what I mean? So like that, I think that factors into it as well.
The rules in the NBA changing were a way.
Oh yeah, it's definitely way more.
bigger,
Yes, but I'm
more
saying Ted
influential
Williams
than
didn't have
that.
to worry about dealing with a
He's just
shift and things
facing
like
60-mile-an-hour pitching is a lot easier, like they were in Ted Williams' day.
Nobody's throwing 60. Stop.
That's just a funny comment. I got to
It
read
is.
it out loud. So, do you want me to make your point for you?
Are you talking about what people played? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, like, well, how
Yeah.
big of a sport it
Yeah,
was.
I mean, baseball was the biggest sport on the planet. I mean, it probably even close to soccer back then. I mean, football wasn't what it was. Hockey certainly wasn't, and basketball wasn't.
No, that was a really good point when you made it yesterday. I had to like eat that point.
It was, if you were an athlete growing up back then, like you played baseball. I mean, I'm not going to argue the racial stuff. I mean, because we've all seen how much better baseball is now back then versus back then. Then you have the stories of Josh Gibson. If they really kept stats, he might be the all-time home run leader. And he didn't cheat, so that would be wonderful. But if you were back then, everybody wanted to play baseball. That's what everybody played. So I mean, it's no different than like when we argue LeBron and Jordan. Like you're arguing two different eras, and it's hard to do when you factor everything in. Are the pitchers better, or do they throw harder, and so forth and so on? Yeah. But if you look at Ted Williams' natural gift to hit a baseball, now factor that in with him training, him lifting weights, with all the technology he would have, better equipment. It does all level out at some point.
So you think it levels out. So you think hitting 406 is hitting 406.
Agreed. If somebody did it now, I wouldn't discredit it. If Soto hits 406 this year,
Of course, you don't.
It
It'd
would
be
be
the-
the Trout hits 406.
It'd be the big. No, I'm just saying if anybody does it,
Yeah.
it'd be the biggest. You guys were a little bit younger. You probably remember. There was a year. I think there was 2 years in a row going into, I want to say September. Tony Gwynn was still like in the 370s.
Yeah.
And he had like
I remember that was 1993.
He had it. Well, all right. I
94,
was 13.
right after the
so
strike
you
season.
were.
It was the season after the strike season.
So you were 8.
Dude, me and my dad watched so much baseball.
I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying I was 13, like conscious of it. You were 8. I didn't know what you were watching back then. And it was a huge deal. Like when you watch highlights tonight, everybody wanted to know what Tony Gwynn did. It is an absolutely hollowed record in baseball. Like if anybody ever breaks 400 again, I can't tell you how much of a big deal it's going to be. And it's,
But I think that goes towards Gene's point though, just because like
I think it's a lot harder
I'm
now.
not saying that back then it was just like you could wake up and hit 406, but because it's so much harder to do now, I think that's why people are so intrigued by it.
it's
So somebody gave us a solid stat on the wire line. Frankie's been awesome. Frankie, appreciate the stats. Since 2000, 6 players have only batted over 360.
yeah.
Those players were Helton, Bonds, Chipper, Ichiro, and Ordonez.
I was gonna say Ichiro. I think that was the other guy I knew.
And Maurer.
That was Maurer had a couple good years before he got.
But that's a really solid
Noodle.
point. And they said Larry Walker was the closest, 379 and 99.
That's probably what he finished at. I know the 1 year Gwen was there, he had an awful September. Like he fell apart. I think it actually got to him.
I think he batted 363 that year.
Right, but again, when you're
Like-
when you're going into September 379, if you have a good month, you can get there. What I'm saying is, for
If you go the opposite way, you get on a 360.
Yeah. For Tony Gwynn to drop 20 points in a month is a big deal.
Yeah,
I
I agree.
Outside of Ted Williams, he's probably the best pure hitter in baseball history. Just pure.
And I still think Ted Williams is the best pure hitter in baseball.
He's the best hitter ever.
I agree.
I don't know. You can't really argue it. His numbers, as amazing as they are, he gave up 3. From the years of his age of 24 to 26, he did not play baseball. He went to the war.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, because he literally hit his 23-year-old year. He hit 406 and then went to the war for 3 years, and he still has those records. Still hit 500 home runs. His numbers would be ridiculous if you give him those 3 years of his prime back. I look at it this way. Again, like if you want to use Trout, if you put Trout back in 1940, I don't know how much his numbers change. And if you brought Ted Williams to now, Ted Williams is still gonna be Ted Williams. When you factor in everything, I don't know how much changes.
When you say put him back there, you mean like he's still going to be hitting like 305, like in the 40s and 30s? You
don't know. Like, I mean,
just fast question.
I was just asking. Like,
yeah.
I was wondering, like, is that what you meant by that?
I don't. Again, I think you would have a better barometer if you could take somebody from now and put him back there and see what their numbers did. Like, if you took somebody like Trout or Soto or Acuna and put him back there, and their numbers spiked off, through the roof.
I think they would.
I mean, then you would have your answer.
I think so too.
Right, but are you taking
So
are you taking Mike Trout now, like with all like his training and all his supplements and everything, and just plopping him in 41? Or are you taking like the watered down what Mike Trout would be in 41?
So my question would be, what about Ted Williams in today's game? Would you think he'd ever bat 400 if he played in today's game?
I mean, if you made me bet, I mean, you're probably like minus 120 even. Like,
no,
if you guess or no.
I think it's like minus
you're probably
235 that he wouldn't.
You probably like minus 400.
The dude could literally read the writing on a baseball when it's being thrown at him.
He's unbelievable.
No,
I don't know how much that changes.
But I mean, like in today's game,
how many 92-mile-an-hour sliders was he seeing from CeCe?
Or even,
I love that Daniel Tash line. That's one of the greatest lines he ever had.
It seems like nowadays in baseball too, if there's high school pitchers that can pitch 100 miles per hour. Like it's so much more. I feel like in the game now. Yeah, so I don't know if 400 is.
You still had guys in the high 80s and low 90s back then. There wasn't 8 of them on every staff, but
that's Trout with about 550 with 800 home runs.
Who said that?
Petey.
Yeah, that sounds like a Petey.
Trout with about 550 with 80 home runs.
I wouldn't.
Guys, we got to get in. You got to be kidding me. Let's move on to that. Cottrell, do you want to start?
Yes, I do, because I got the perfect one. So LeBron was going to be my you got to be kidding me, but I know we're going to have that conversation. But I am going to go with LeBron for this one, just because I thought that he had a really bad take with his whole idea of the playing games, and he said that, last year he said, I think this is a really good idea because it was the bubble. He was nowhere near close for it to be the playing games. Now he's like right in the 7th seed, and he's having issues and he said whoever created the playing games needs to be fired. So that's a complete joke, just because you can't say that last year and now go against it this year. I understand it was the bubble, and yeah, that was a little quirky thing, but if you really felt that way, you would have said that before this year when they said, hey, we're bringing the playing games back. But for you to wait until now, and your team is literally in position to be in one of those playing games for that, LeBron?
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
That's a great call. We were going to talk about LeBron James saying that, and that's why I gave him a signal. That's why he switched ways there. But yeah, we were going to talk about that. We ran out of time. We'll get into a bunch of more stuff next week. Shally, who's yours?
I'm going back to baseball. My favorite whipping boy. Umpiring in baseball this week has been awful. I was at the Mets-Phillies game on Saturday when they called McCutcheon out of the baseline when he literally ran straight, never moved. And I think the worst part is people are getting frustrated. These umpires are right on top of these calls and they're just blatantly missing them. Running out of the base line obviously is non-reviewable. So not only did they call McCutcheon out, then they went to review it, and then they reviewed Brad Miller's play first. So it turned in from a shit call and a runner on first to a shit call and overturned the play at first, so it turned into a double play. There was another play. I want to say
Jose Navas, man.
He
needs to be famous, guys. Let people know about who Jose Navas is.
I mean, we were talking about Angel Hernandez earlier. Like he said, he made a call and he doesn't know why he made it. Like these guys are supposed to be the best, 100 umpires in the league, and half of them stink. I mean, you have Joe West, who's 80. Like, there's no way you can tell me that guy can track a ball and see, and with his, as we're talking about,
this
like
is SBA at the quarry.
Yeah, like you can't tell me Joe West can track a ball at 99 miles an hour anymore. He can't. There's just no way he can. They're missing calls, and then on top of that, they're missing calls. We gave these guys replay, and they're still missing calls at replay. I mean, and it's benefited us one time this year. Alec Bohm's slid home, and he never touched the plate. Like, it's they have a real problem on their hands. There's got to start being accountability on the major league umpire side. And I know
how many times does Bill have to say this?
Dude, listen. Until Rob Manfred's fired, you're going to hear a lot of "You got to be kidding me" in baseball, especially during baseball season. I hate him. He hasn't done one good thing for the game since he took over. He doesn't have his umpires under control. So, again, for this week, Major League Baseball and umpiring.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
Bill, that's a really solid point. I was going to go with Jose Navas if I could, but I can't. Mine is like a very Donovan McNabb-ish move for Tony La Russa. Tony La Russa didn't know the rules. Guys, I can't make this up. Tony La Russa did a double switch to put a pitcher in the game so the pitcher didn't have to bat because the pitcher spot just batted. Then he went to extra innings, so he didn't realize that he didn't have to run the pitcher. So the guy pitched the inning during the double switch so they could get more than one inning out of him. And then he subbed the pitcher out for a pinch runner. Didn't realize he had to do that. Jose Abreu could have ran for him. So he did a double switch and then had his pitcher run at second, then subbed the pitcher out an inning early and then lost the game because he had to take his closer out. That is a really bad come on man type moment. And so for this week, Tony La Russa, you got to know the rules.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
That's even worse because he coached in the National League forever. Like, he knows how to do a double move, like a double switch. Like, it's wild.
The second baseman extra innings rule that really threw him off because he didn't coach during that. What happened was he did a double switch in the 2-hole. The 2-hole was the last batted out, so he basically put his pitcher in, put him in the 2-hole. So the last batted out has to go to second base to run. So he didn't want to send his closer in there to get hurt. So he's not knowing the rules, knowing he could have sent Jose Abreu out, he subbed his pitcher out to go for a pinch runner, then was risky with the pinch runner, got the guy thrown out the plate, and then lost the game in the bottom of the inning because the runner on second didn't score.
You know whose fault that is?
Tony La Russa?
Rob Manfred's for putting stupid ass softball rules in Major League Baseball.
Guys, it's been 30 shows.
That's literally a softball rule.
It is.
That is the international tiebreaker softball rule. You start with a guy on second base. That's in Major League Baseball now. Thanks, Rob.
It's been 30 shows, guys. I feel like we've gotten better. We've had some fun on here. We had some anger. We had some fights. I love it. The heated debates. Any final thoughts on show 30?
I got none this week.
Okay, Bill, you always got like a birthday or.
I don't need birthdays or anything. I mean, I said in the group chat, I knew tonight was going to be fun just because of the topics. I mean, I knew we had a bunch of us were on different sides of everything, knowingly that coming in. But, in celebration of the 30th show, we're not going to give too much away to you guys yet because we have to settle in the details. But in the next, I would say 3 or 4 shows, we're going to have a pretty big name on this show calling in. He is a ESPN analyst for one of the sports that we talk about here a lot. Very big deal. Has some local ties to the Philadelphia area. We're trending in the right direction.
Word said he's coming in the studio. I'm kidding.
That's not happening.
I'm just messing around.
But it's we're trying to do big things, and we're on the right direction. So as that gets a little bit closer, we'll drop some more hints. But we're gonna have a pretty big name on this show in a couple weeks.
We've grown so much, and I kind of wanted to give a shout out to our Toxic family, the guys that have been in the background and producing the show and getting our shows uploaded all the time. And the show before us with Hungry for Hope, great show with Donnie, Tim, Yanni. It's been awesome, man. We've grown from Mike's bedroom to a studio, and we've actually really it's been a very enjoyable experience. I hope you guys enjoy listening to us, guys. It's really important if you guys can help the downloads. Please download. That helps us so much. We have a lot of deals in the works. We've really just been waiting for the right sponsor. We've turned down a few so far, guys. I don't want to take anyone's local money that I don't think you're going to make money. We've had a couple big fish that we've talked to, but if the deal isn't right for us as a group, we're not going to take it. Just not what we're about. We want to be able to have the right, and when we have a huge guest on that Bill's talking about, I guarantee we're going to jump even more. So it's been a fun 30 shows, but here's to 300 more. hopefully we're doing them together as a group because I have a lot of fun with this. And Toxic Radio, thank you guys very much. And for that, this is show 30, Wire to Wire. We're signing out.